Welcome everybody into the Ken Nickel Recreation Center for Game 2 of the North Division semifinal. It's the Rebels with a 1-0 series lead as they took Game 1 last night in Josephsburg by a count of 12-6. Coming into the game, the Outlaws are looking to defeat the Rebels for the first time since June 19th of 2017 when they were the Sherwood Park Titans. And the Rebels are looking to punch their ticket into the North Division final against rival Edmonton Warriors. Tonight's starting goaltenders for the Fort Saskatchewan Rebels will be Bowen Carpenter. And in the Outlaw net will be Zadrazil. Now the ball is going to be picked up by Weatherby as the ball is brought up over center. Weatherby hands it off to Sika. Sika down the far wall as he's met there by Eastwood. Pick set for Sika. Sika in behind the net. Pobday. Pobday up top. He swings it over to Sika. He mishandles that for a second. The shot clock will expire and it'll be Rebels' ball. As the Rebels come up with it. Eastwood. Low. Fodchuk off the left side. He dances around a little bit. He tried to hit Baker on a little bit of a slip pick. The ball's going to bounce over to the far wall. It's going to be picked up by McCallion as he tried to send that into Low. And that was at his feet. And the Outlaws will gain possession as we approach the 18.5-minute mark here in the first period. Here's Stewart, right side. Stewart up top to Hobday. As Stewart ended back up with the ball, he shot that up top over the net. As the Rebels push in transition, Seth McKenzie was wide open. The ball was at his feet. He wasn't able to bring that in. But it will be Rebel ball off the possession call. Here's McKenzie. McKenzie playing both offense and transition this year very effectively. The second-year junior played his minor lacrosse for the Edmonton Warriors. Here's McKenzie into the middle. McKenzie tried to twist that around. The Outlaws netminder. That was a good stop. And now the ball's going to bounce to the far wall. It's going to be picked up by Eric Long as he circles back and hits Kai Lee. Outlaws leading scorer from the regular season. Actually went to Sika instead. Here's Sika. He gets hit there by Albrecht. Sika pick and roll with Lee. Lee out in front. Good stop there by Carpenter. Good loose ball there by Sika as a fresh 30. As that shot goes right into the lower body of Carpenter. And now here's Lewis. He's got a little bit of a break here. Lewis inside the 24-foot line. As he hit Reed Lowe, and Reed Lowe tried to go low by the Outlaw netminder's foot. Now was turned away. As the Rebel offense comes out in full force here. Here's Lowe. Lowe takes that shot. Bounce shot, Lowe. And that's stopped, and it's going to be outlaw ball. As they say, McCallion stepped in the crease. As the Outlaws come back out with it. Here's Tompkins. He's going to come down the right side. Tompkins up top to Stewart. Tompkins crease dive, and that goes wide. Here are the Rebels. They yell for too many men. Here's Jama for the Rebels. Tosses it to Eastwood. Eastwood down low. Back up top to Jama. He throws that to Peterson. Jams him up a little bit. Peterson tried to get that to Kohut. That's going to go loose, and it's going to be picked up by the Outlaws. Here's Weatherby, as he's going to stop up and wait for some help. Weatherby is going to be harassed there a little bit by Fraser Barrett, but he eventually gets that over to Sika, and now to Hobday. Hobday to Maloney. And a little bit of a sub shot there by Lee. That goes harmlessly into Carpenter's chest. That's going to hit the ceiling, and it's going to be a fresh possession for the Outlaws. Here's Lee. Cutler. Cutler across the crease to Lee. That was a tough pass to handle. It's going to go into the corner. It's going to be picked back up by Sika. Back up top. Stewart. Ball's going to get knocked away. As the shot clock winds down, Cutler throws that one into the chest of Carpenter, and the Rebels will go back the other way as there's a little bit of pushing and shoving behind the play here. As Fodchuk gets thrown down without possession, it'll be Rebel ball. As Fodchuk runs around long, and that goes wide. Now it bounces back out in front and into the net. A lucky goal for the Rebels, but it's playoff time, and they'll take it. It's 1-0 Fort Saskatchewan. And that chance created by the hustle of Fodchuk, who was thrown down to the ground, got up on the possession change, wasted no time, and ran around his defender. And even though it was a lucky result, hard work by the Rebels in transition to create that opportunity, and it's 1-0. That actually is Dorland in net. I misspoke. I said Zadrazil off the top. It is Dorland. As the ball gets rolled over to the opposite side. As the Outlaws get the ball over to the right side. Hobday to Turner. He tried to get that back up to Sika. He's going to have to go regather. Sika is going to lose the ball, as Simonson is going to come up the floor. The Rebels look to transition the ball here. Here's Simonson. He bounces it to Baker. Rare game. Baker was held off the score sheet in game number 1. And you can bet he wants to get his name on there. But it's about wins, and I didn't think he was bad by any means. I thought the Rebel offense really got going in the third period, as they're going to say interference, and it'll be Rebel ball. Kohut. Hands off to Lowe. Here's Jama. Swings it over to Baker. Baker is going to play a two-man game with Kohut. Baker drag move. Then he loses it. And Rogalski's going to come out with it with the Outlaws as he sprints down the floor. Bit of a 2-on-1 with Cutler. Rogalski's going to keep. And that's a good stop by Carpenter as he went to his knees to get down and cover the bottom half of the net. Ball goes loose. Picked up by Stewart. He's thrown down. Ball is again loose. And Cutler's going to come away with it. Cutler circles back. Gets it down low to Kai Lee. Hobday. Maloney. Up top. Kai Lee. Drag move underneath. He shoots that into the stick of Carpenter, who's been solid here early on, and it'll be Rebel ball. Here goes Zorniak. Zorniak, been a force in transition for the Rebs this year. Throws that away, though, as Dorland picks up the loose change in his crease. He gets that over to Weatherby, who's going to run this up for the Outlaws. And here's Sika. Right through the middle of the floor as he sort of squeezed between two Rebels and got a shot off, but it went wide. Ball's going to be picked back up by the Rebels, and it'll be Simonson. Parkland Posse product. Gets it over to Reynaud. Reynaud, very good game one, had a marker, and was really strong in transition, getting the ball up the floor for the Rebels all game long. Here's Fodchuk. Fodchuk shoots. That's stopped by the hand of Dorland. Ball comes back up top. Fodchuk. Reed Lowe was probably the player of the game at 4 in that opening game of the North Division semifinal. He tried to flip that inside. It'll be outlaw ball, though, as they call possession change. Here's Tompkins. Had 2 markers himself in the first game of this series. Up top to Maloney. Maloney tried to get that inside to Turner, and it's turned over. Albrecht is going to try and grab this loose ball, but it's going to get away from him, and it bounces all the way back into Dorland, who outlets. That's over Tompkins' head. He's going to have to run this down, which he does. Good job knocking that down. And he's going to come off the half wall with it. Tompkins, little bit of a hop step, swings it over to Maloney. Maloney down low to Cutler. Maloney sits a hard pick. Ref thought about moving, decides against it, and then Maloney walked out in front but missed the net. And they're going to say that he stepped through the crease to pick it up. It's going to be Rebel ball. As the Rebels come back out. Jama will pick the ball up and send it to the left side to Kohut. Kohut. Over to McCallion. Rebels leading scorer from the regular season. Put up 80 plus this year as Kohut is down on the ground. And didn't see what happened, but there is a penalty coming up. As official John Bennett spotted it, he says cross-check. And it looks like Peyton Cook will go to the box. He'll serve 2 minutes. And it'll be a Rebel power play, the first power play of the game for either team. As it'll be Baker up top. He'll be joined by Fodchuk and Peterson on the left side. It'll be McCallion and Lowe on the right side. Baker, Fodchuk. They exchange. Lowe. Back up to Baker. Fodchuk. That's a good low stave by Dorland. Ball's going to go loose. It's going to be picked up by the Rebels. But that hits the ceiling, and it's going to be outlaw ball. Here's Cutler coming down coming down the far boards. He gets it to Sika. Sika over to Cutler, down to Hobday. Hobday swings it back over to the right side. Sika waits for the check to come, and he'll lean into it as he gets wrapped up a little bit. Outlaws wanting a call. They won't get it, and it'll be a shot clock violation, and it'll be Rebel ball. 1-0 Rebels lead here just about halfway through the first period. Shots reading 6 apiece. As the Rebels power play will come back down the floor. Baker up top again. Baker and Fodchuk. McCallion. Inside, Baker. Nice fake as he tried to go back short side on Dorland, and that's a nice stop by the Outlaw netminder as the Outlaws will come back down floor. Peterson picks it up. And it'll be one last possession as that's a costly turnover for the Outlaws as they could have really killed the rest of the remaining time on that power play. But now the Rebels are going to have one last possession before Cook can come out of the box. Swing pass, Jama up top. Baker winds, and that gets blocked by a nice Outlaw stick. And here goes Hutchings. Hutchings sprinting right to the net, and that's going to be turned away by Carpenter. And here come the Rebels. Down floor, Lewis and McKenzie. Lewis rolls off a check. McKenzie, far side. He rips that into the top corner. It's 2-0. And we talked about the Rebels transition game. being a factor in game number one, and Seth McKenzie being a big part of that, as he has been all year, and he gets another one. It's 2-0 for Saskatchewan with just over 9 minutes to play here in the first period. As the Outlaws will want to respond here before, especially in an elimination game, before this gets stretched out. Here's Albrecht. He tried to hit Peterson, who slipped into the crease. Just looked like he hit a bit of a wet spot or something. Foot gave out on him. And Long is going to get the ball knocked away from him, but it's going to be picked up by Sika as Sika steps around Peterson. And there's a double that comes from the Rebels. Peterson and Albrecht. Ball's tossed back over to the left side. Maloney out in front. That gets stopped. And then Tompkins picks up the ball and throws it into the net. The referees haven't signaled a goal. They still haven't signaled a goal. They have a penalty coming up to the Rebels, but they never signaled goal. Outlaws won't like this. I don't know. I don't think they're calling this a goal. I just think they're sending Peterson to the box. We'll wait and see for the official call. Peterson, now Albrecht's making his way into the box. So the referees are going to discuss here. I don't know if they're going to say they blew the whistle before the ball went in the net. Or, I mean, I'm guessing they're going to say that they blew the whistle before the ball went in the net. As official John Bennett talks to the timekeepers. Sounds like 4-minute penalty. 4-minute check from behind. And a charge? And yeah, so 4-minute check from behind and a charging penalty. That will be a 2-minute penalty. So it'll be a 5-on-3. It doesn't look like anybody's even arguing about the ball that went in the net. So it'll remain 2-0. And with 8:42 to go here in the first period, it'll be the Outlaws going to a 5-on-3 with a chance to dent into this Rebels lead. Here's Lee off the right shooter. Lee. Tompkins, Lee. And he shoots that. That goes wide, hits the ceiling, and it'll be Rebels' ball. As the Rebels really slow to move towards this, they eventually get there, and Scrimshaw is going to make his way over the reg line, doing some heavy lifting here through two Outlaws. He takes a whack, and he gets hit on the ground, and it's going to be a penalty as Rogalski will take the cross-checking penalty. And they'll go to a 4-on-3 now instead of the 5-on-3 that was taking place. And anybody at home who's wondering, you can't make any contact in terms of a cross-check with a player that's already on the ground, and that's why they grabbed Rogalski, who hit Scrimshaw while he was on the ground. So it'll go to a 4-on-3 for the next 2 minutes, a little bit less, and it'll be the Rebels still remaining shorthanded here as they take possession off of the penalty call. Kohut drags it underneath as he gets hit from behind a little bit. No call, and he makes his way out in front, then tried to go 5-hole, and Dorland squeezes that, and it'll be Outlaw possession. 7:45 to go first period. Rebels still maintaining that 2-0 lead. Hobday. Stewart. Hobday. Stewart. Or Maloney, excuse me. As he's tried to go 5-hole. A lot of guys trying to go 5-hole here. And Carpenter shut that off. Reynaud will come up over center. Reynaud, nice little move. Hits McCallion, and McCallion gets stopped by a good arm from Dorland. And the shifty Reynaud left an Outlaw in his tracks there as he goes behind the net. Been really impressed with Reynaud's plays. He's really stepped up his game here in these playoffs. Reynaud takes a weak shot that goes wide, and now the Outlaws will come down floor. 2-on-1. Stewart and Maloney. Stewart over to Maloney. He tried to quick stick that. And that got away from him. And Hobday will pick that up. Outlaw captain gets it to Maloney. He gets it back to Hobday. Hobday, nice pass to Stewart. And he rips that far side. It's 2-1. And the Outlaws really needed that one as it was getting to the edge of the end of that 4-on-3. And Stewart ripped one into the far side. A little bit of a jump shot past Carpenter. They cut the lead in half. It's Rebels 2, Outlaws 1 with 6:45 to go here in the first period. And that's something that the Outlaws are going to need a little bit more as their top guns to produce here in this game. As Stewart, Hobday, and Lee are probably the three guys that come to mind the most. Maloney as well. And if they're going to get anywhere in this series, you got to think those guys are going to do the heavy lifting. As an interference call is made off the face-off, it'll be Outlaws ball. And a little bit of a out-of-town scoreboard update for you. In Junior A out of Alberta, the Junior A Mounties just defeated the Junior A Raiders by a score of 12-6. As Simonson comes down on a breakaway. Nice pick. And he shoots that far side. That's another good stop by Dorland. And, of course, also today in Junior A, the Miners completed the sweep as they defeated the SWAT 15-7 as they move on and await the now tied series between the Mountaineers and Raiders that is sitting at 2-2. As they continue that best of 7 on Tuesday night, I believe. Now the ball gets thrown up and it's back up with Hobday. Ball loose. Maloney shoots that into the equipment of Carpenter. He shuts that off and it'll be Rebels ball. Ball is going to come back over to the far side of the floor with Zorniak. Zorniak pressured there by Cutler. As the Rebels are still shorthanded, they get the 10-second count against them, and it'll be Outlaw ball. As we sit here, 2-1, Rebels. 5:35 to go here, first period. Stewart, the Outlaw goal scorer here so far. Up top to Lee. Hobday. Hobday. Ball is thrown cross crease to Tompkins. Lee. Tompkins. Over to Hobday. Hobday rips that. That goes wide. Lee. Lee. That gets picked off. And here's Barrett. Barrett, the speed demon in transition. Barrett all the way to the net. Stops up. And then he tucks that short side around Dorland, and it's 3-1. So the Rebels really supplementing their offense right now with transition play. They had the goal that was off the broken play off of the back of the boards. That wasn't really in an offensive set itself. And then their last two goals have both come in transition. Seth McKenzie burying, and now Fraser Barrett getting on the board, and it's 3-1 for Fort Saskatchewan. Ball is going to be drawn back, and it'll be won by the Rebels. It's McKenzie over to Eastwood. Good stop there by Dorland. That was knocked back into the crease. Yeah, and they're going to call back in on the Outlaws. They'll be Rebel ball. McKenzie, quick pass over to Lowe. That missed him. That was a bit too high. McKenzie, he's whacked and hacked there by a couple of Outlaws. Now, in front, Baker tried to throw one around Dorland. They say he stepped in, and it'll be Outlaw ball. 4:34 to go. First period. Rebels leading 3-1. Here from the Ken Nickel Recreation Center. The Rebels leading the best of 3 series 1-0. Looking to close it out here tonight in Beaumont. As Stewart stepped out in front, took a sidearm just wide. Maloney over to Hobday. Hobday rips that. That's stopped. And Lee swings that over to Stewart. Stewart. He swings that. That's in the feet of Cutler, but it's picked up by Maloney. He sent that wide. And here goes Raynaud. Raynaud is going to really push for this as he gets that loose ball and will settle it up for the Rebels offense. He flips to Jama. Jama swings it over to the left side. Fodchuk The two Rebel acquisitions at the deadline go to work. Ball over to Lowe. Lowe and Peterson. Peterson swings it back over to Fodchuk. Back to Lowe. Pick set there by Jama. He rolls inside. Lowe tried to shoot that, though, and it hit a stick and made its way into the crease, and Outlaws will come away with it as Tompkins comes down the floor. Tompkins has the pick set there by Turner. He looked backdoor to Maloney. Couldn't connect. Ball goes to Lee off the boards. Here's Lee. Outlaws asking for a reset. Don't know that hit the net. And now the shot clock is going to expire, and it'll be Rebels ball. Here is Lewis. He's pressed there by Tompkins. He circles around that check. Lewis, nice look there to Baker. Seen both teams sort of not being able to connect on that pass. The backdoor look yet in this game here. Lots of opportunities for it, though. Cutler out in front. Has a lot of size to his frame. You wouldn't know that he's a first-year junior right out of 17A out of Sherwood Park. Ball sent back over to Cutler. Cutler inside. That was Lee taking that shot. That went wide. And here comes the ball up over center. The Rebels lose it momentarily. Now they'll regain possession. There's a little bit of a hidden ball. Fodchuk. Over to Lowe. Lowe, pick set. He steps around it. Little bit of room. And he shoots that into the stick of Dorland. Dorland, some strong saves here in this first period. Definitely taking the better quality opportunities. Shots right now, Rebels 14, Outlaws 12. Ball goes into the corner. With a minute and a half to go here. First period. Ball back up top. Tompkins. He winds and fires. That caught a piece of Carpenter as the Outlaws get a reset. Outlaws hanging around here. Much like they did in the first half. Or really the first two periods of game one. Lee. Hobday. Backdoor look. Carpenter was there waiting for that. Good anticipation by the rookie netminder, who I continue to be impressed with. Now the ball, they're gonna catch a look like a slash maybe behind the play as they will make their way over to the box here. I stick, it looked like the signal was, so the Outlaws will go back to the power play. They'll have 2 minutes to work with here, 1:17 to go first period. The Rebels leading 3-1. I want to thank you for joining us here on CROW LAX TV for game number 2 of the North Division semifinal. Rebels leading the series 1-0. Best of 3. Lee. Maloney. Back up to Lee. Lee takes that shot. It went off of a Rebel, and it'll be Outlaw ball. Here's Maloney. Lee. Back to Stewart, backdoor. That was Hobday. As he goes and collects that. Hobday, Stewart. That shot is handled by Carpenter. And here's Zorniak. Zorniak. Good pressure there by Stewart. He's grabbed. No call. Zorniak is going to come back. Now they're going to say 10 seconds. It'll be Outlaw ball. So that was good pressure by the Outlaws. Did get away with a bit of a grab there. But nonetheless, that was good pressure, and they create the turnover, and they will have last possession here as we wind down here in the first period. 15 seconds to go here, first period. Tompkins over to Maloney. Maloney to Tompkins. Sika misses the net there. As that go all the way back down the floor. And after the first period, it's going to be the Fort Saskatchewan Rebels 3 and the Beaumont Outlaws 1. Once again, we want to thank you for joining us here on CROW LAX TV for the North Division semifinals as the Rebels lead the Outlaws 1-0. Winner of the series going on to face the Edmonton Warriors in the North Division final that'll start next Friday night from Bill Hunter Arena. All you got to do to watch playoff action on the channel and the provincials from Beaumont in early August is hit that subscribe button, and we'll be right back here with you in just under 10 minutes time. And welcome back into the Ken Nickel Arena. As we enter into the second period, it's the Fort Saskatchewan Rebels leading the Beaumont Outlaws by a score of 3-1. As the Outlaws look to stave off elimination, they of course will be hosting the provincials in early August right here at home at Ken Nickel. But they want to extend their playoff run here, and to do so, they're going to have to come back on the Rebels as the Rebels hold that 2-goal lead as we enter into the second period. Thanks again for joining us on CROW LAX TV. It's the North Division semifinal. As off the face-off, they're going to grant the Rebels the ball. Albrecht looked like he tried to maybe throw that blindly to somebody behind the back, but that just went into the midsection of Dorland. And it'll be outlaw ball. Maloney. The Outlaws are on the tail end of this power play here. It started way back with about 5 minutes, 3.5 to go in the first period. Maloney. Lee. Lee winds and fires. That's a good toe save by Carpenter. And here's Stewart. Down to Tompkins. Tompkins back up front. Shot taken by Maloney. As the shot comes in, and it'll be Rebel ball. Here's Scrimshaw. McCallion. McCallion gets hit. Out in front. Fodcheck, quick stick, and that's shut off by Dorland. Both goaltenders playing quite well. As the Outlaws come down into the offensive zone. Here's Maloney. Maloney down into the corner, up to Cutler. Cutler winds and shoots. That goes into the midsection of a kneeling Carpenter as the Rebels will look to transition through heavy pressure. Now the ball's sent all the way down the floor to Kohut. Kohut. Lee. Or it's Lowe, excuse me. Lowe. Pick set there by Jama as he rolls off. Ball swung over to Baker. Baker shoots that off of the shoulder of Dorland, and that's stopped. Good save there. Both goaltenders again making big saves. Dorland again. And now the Outlaws will come back up floor. Here is Cook. Nice shot. Stopped by Carpenter on the far side. Ball is picked up and swung over to Hobday. Hobday left side. Hobday up top. Tompkins underneath his man. That was Albrecht, and that ball got a piece of Carpenter on the short side, and it'll be outlaw ball. Maloney mishandles that. Gets it back. Maloney. Little bit of a push pass into Hobday as he rolled wide open to the net. Now the ball's picked up and raced out by Barrett. Barrett, 3-on-2 with McCallion and Fodchuk off the bench. Now an Outlaw catches up, and good job by them in reverse transition to shut that potential opportunity down. Now Lowe and McCallion off the right side. Fodchuk. Fodchuk up to Kohut. McCallion. Lowe. Lowe swings it over to Fodchuk. Fodchuk winds and fires short side. And it's 4-1. As the Rebels offense really getting their first of the game there, as they had tallied everything basically in transition to this point, and the acquisition from the St. Albert Crew, Josh Fodchuk, goes short side. Same spot that he scored in game one, and it's 4-1 Rebels with 16:56 to go here in the second period. And while we have a pause in the action here, got a little shout out to give to Barb and Dave Cutler, Justice's grandparents, watching from Victoria, BC. Dave Cutler, the 6-time Grey Cup winner with the Edmonton Eskimos. Shout out to Justice's grandparents tuning in from the coast. As we got a little bit of a timeout here. And it looks like the Outlaws are the ones to call it. And while we have a little bit of a break in the action, let's go back to that out-of-town scoreboard. So, as we said earlier, it was the Mountaineers evening up the series with the Raiders 12 as they beat them 12-6. That series is now tied 2 apiece as they go back to Max Bell for Game 5. Now a best of 3. And it was also in the same RMLL league. It was the Miners completing the sweep over the Saskatchewan SWAT by a score of 15-7. They move on and await the winner of that Calgary series, which will probably start. It depends how long that Calgary series goes, but if it ends by Game 6, they'll probably start it by next weekend, but that schedule is to be determined. And then out west, it was Coquitlam taking Game 1 over Victoria by a score of 10-8. And if you watched any of that game, that was great lacrosse. I highly recommend you tune into that series as they pick back up in Game 2 tomorrow afternoon from Victoria. And out east, last night I should say, it was Mimico upsetting Burlington by a score of 12-11 as they took a 1-0 series lead in that best-of-7 Ontario semifinal. In senior ball, as I look up the game that just would have ended out east between Orangeville and Toronto, but in senior ball, it was the Senior B Mountaineers defeating the Senior B Rebels by a 22-9 count as they take a 1-0 lead in that Senior B semifinal. The winner going on to play the winner of the Miners Knights series that starts tonight out of Bill Hunter Arena. And as I look here, it was the Orangeville Northmen defeating the Beaches by a score of 8-5 as they take a 1-0 lead in that Ontario Junior A semifinal. That, of course, a best-of-7 as well. Not quite sure what the delay is here. I'm starting to wonder if they're calling something on the Rebel goaltender. Trying to call something on the Rebel goaltender. As he's pointing to his... He was pointing to his upper body, sort of like his armpit area, maybe his chest protector. But it looks like he's putting his helmet on. And it looks like he's going to be good to go here. So whatever it was a quick... It was a quick look. You know what? I think maybe what it was something with his jersey because there's a Rebel in the box and they didn't go to the room or anything. I was buried in my phone giving you out-of-town scores, but it looked like it looked like something to do with it on his arm. His sleeve. Yeah, maybe it's something to do with his jersey and his sleeve being rolled up. So they fixed that. It's a 2-minute penalty, and the Outlaws will go to the power play. The Rebels leading 4-1, and 16 and a half minutes to go here in the second period. Lee and Maloney. That goes over to Stewart. Ball goes into the corner, and it's picked up by Tompkins, and now it's with Lee up top. As Stewart winds and fires to the short side, that's stopped by Carpenter. Lee up top. Lee. He plays catch with Maloney. Tompkins tried to swing that back over to Maloney. That goes loose. Into the corners. Turner is thrown into the boards. He gets it back up to Lee. Stewart winds and fires into the midsection of Carpenter. And now here go the Rebels. They had a 2-on-1, but the Outlaws were quick out the gate there. And Barrett will get it to Scrimshaw as the Rebels look to kill some time here. 1 minute to go here in their man short. McCallion gets it down low to Peterson. Peterson will hold this. Peterson just rolls that in the corner as the shot clock winds down, and it'll be Outlaw ball. 40 seconds remain in the power play, 15 and a half remain in the middle frame. Here's Maloney. Down low to Hobday. see if the Outlaws start to run a little bit of motion here on their power play. Maybe settling for a little bit too many outside shots right now. Here's Lee, and he winds and fires. That stops. And now Reynaud out over center. He's really going here. Out to the 24. He tried to hit McKenzie. That was too far for him to reach. And then the ball goes into Dorland, back out. It looked like maybe it went out of play. It'll be Rebel ball. Here's Kohut behind the back to Seth McKenzie as they return to even strength play. Score remaining 4-1 Rebels. McKenzie out in front. And he takes that contact well, but he's turned away from Dorland. Here's McCallion as he races after Weatherby. Weatherby pushes that up to Stewart. He's wound and fired into Carpenter. And that's a stiff shoulder there. Oh, thrown by Albrecht, and he's down. It looked like he rolled his ankle or something there. His knee, I don't know, his lower body gave out on him there. And he's in a little bit of pain as the trainer comes out to find out what may be going on with him, as he laid a large hit on an Outlaw, and he immediately went down. It almost looked like his knee buckled a little bit, and he's in a lot of pain as they tend to him. But as we have the pause in the action, we want to thank you for joining us here on the channel, CROW LAX TV. Right through the playoffs into the provincials, the Larry Bishop Memorial here from Beaumont, Alberta, Ken Nickel Arena, that takes place August 4th through 7th, as the Central, South, North, and Eastern Division champ will rain down on the Ken Nickel Rec Center and be joined by the Outlaws, who are hosting as they help Albrecht off the floor. And obviously a leader for this team, fifth-year vet. They will tend to him, as obviously you never want to see that any player on any team, especially come playoff time, and especially a guy who, I mean, I don't have any knowledge of what his future holds, and I say this for every guy that finishes his junior career. You don't know if after this season ends, you don't know if you play another period of lacrosse. So those guys, it's always extra tough to see that happen to. And we wish him the best. As we look ready to go here, it'll be the Outlaws' ball. Cutler takes that shot. That's stopped. Rebound's picked up, and Stewart is turned away. And again, Bowen Carpenter, 27 shots now by the Outlaws, and only one goal. Really exceeding expectations is Bowen Carpenter. And now, here's Zorniak in on a breakaway. Zorniak tries to go far side, and he does. Around Dorland, it's 5-1. As that was a good identification by Zorniak to pick up and go right away in transition, and he did a good job of running across the net. Made Dorland commit a little bit and threw it around him. It's 5-1. Really, I feel like the Outlaws have played a much more solid game in Game 2, even though they're down 5-1. I feel like they've had the chances. It's just maybe their shooting hasn't been the greatest here. They certainly have gotten a lot of big-time saves from Dorland, and they've gotten good looks offensively, just not falling for them right now. Here's Hobday. Hobday up top. As that gets thrown away into the mesh, it'll be Rebel ball. As the Outlaws yell at their players to get back, as they've been burnt a few times in transition. Here's McCallion. McCallion swings it over to Baker. Baker thinks about going underneath, now rolls back. He loses that, and then it's going to go into the far corner. It'll be Outlaw ball. Here's Weatherby. Weatherby pops back and will throw that over to Cutler. Cutler swings it over to Lee. Lee, and a big pick is set there by Stewart. But the play will go on, and it'll be Maloney ball. Maloney with the ball. Maloney. Maloney, another pick set there by Cutler. He shoots into the midsection of Carpenter. As the Rebels will come back up floor. And there's a swim move by Renault. Renault will roll that over to McCallion. McCallion over to Jama on the right side. As he flips wide open, McCallion in, and I don't know if that caught bar. It caught a piece of Dorland and looked like it might have hit bar. Reset for the Rebels, though, as Lowe goes and gets that loose ball. Lowe swings that over a little bit high to Kohut. Kohut picks that up. Nice fake there, and he rips that short side. That goes wide. Here's the Rebels with the ball. Peterson. Good stick there by Cook. And the lanky defender will come down floor as he pushes pace. And he gets met there with a hard check by McCallion. Don't often see Josh McCallion with that aggressive D. And now Hobday picked up the loose ball. Wide open in front. A great save by Bowen Carpenter. As Hobday did a good job of walking the tightrope of the crease. Did everything you do as teaching shooters as young kids to do. And Carpenter just better there with a great save. Hobday swings it over to Stewart. That hits bar. And that goes all the way down to Dorland. As the ball goes into the ceiling, it'll be Rebel ball. Here's Barrett. Barrett to Fodchuk, and he rips that same spot as he scored his previous 2 goals in this series. It's 6-1. What's that saying? Shooters shoot. Fodchuk living up to that billing, and he rips that just under the glove, hip high on Dorland, and it's 6-1 Rebels. And they call something on the face-off, some sort of technical violation. It'll be outlaw ball. Outlaws really excited about that call. Sika swings it over to Maloney, who got it to Stewart. That shot's taken. And it's going to be picked back up by Stewart. He's had a strong game here. Has the goal. Has had a ton of chances. That shot's wound and fired by Sika. It's stopped by Carpenter. As that was the 30th shot on net by the Outlaws. Here's Lewis. Hits he had Baker wide open. That missed him. Peterson. Kohut swings it over to the right side. Low. Very elusive is the righty. Gets it inside to Kohut. Good cut off ball there. But that was stopped by Dorland. And Dorland with a strong game here, and I really have been impressed with him in this series. I feel like he's really upped his play here in the playoffs. Hobday. Hobday to Lee. That ball's knocked away. Picked back up by Hobday. Ball swung over. Sika. Maloney. Regathers that. Maloney. As the shot clock wound down, had no choice but to try to force that on net. It was knocked down by a Rebel stick, and now here are the Rebels with numbers. Barrett, wide open, through the middle of the floor. And he just ripped that low. It looked like it might have bounced. I don't know if it went 5-hole or if it went by Dorland's foot on the short side, but either way, it's 7-1 Rebels. And as we sit here halfway through this game, and the shot count, Outlaws 30, Rebels 27, and the score Rebels 7, Outlaws 1. I'm going to say it now. If the Warriors are watching this, they've got to be thinking that it's going to be maybe a little bit of a tougher challenge than they anticipated going in if Bowen Carpenter is going to play like this. And now the Outlaws are going to go to the box. It looks like Eric Long is going to make his way over. As the Outlaws, I'll ask what the call is here. We'll wait for the official signal. Looks like unsportsmanlike. So it'll be a Rebel power play as they lead by 6. 7-1, 9:49 to go here, second period. And for whatever reason, we mentioned earlier off the top of the broadcast that the Outlaws had never beaten the Rebels as the Beaumont Outlaws, and the last time the franchise had beaten them was in 2017. And for whatever reason, that the matchup is just tough for the Outlaws, and there's really no there's no one factor that you can really point to. It's just historically, it's just been that way. And the Outlaws, like I said, have played a pretty strong game, all things considered, in this one. Just haven't gotten the shots to fall. As the ball gets tied up in the corner, and it'll roll out to Baker. Here's Lowe. Lowe off the right side. Lowe winds and fires into the stick of Dorland. It goes up and out of play. It'll be Rebel ball. Here's Peterson. Tried to go short side. Had a bit of room on that top corner. But that sailed over the net. As they try to skip it down to Fodchuk. That goes into the mesh behind the net. And it'll be Rebel ball. Excuse me, it'll be Outlaw ball. Here's Hobday. Hobday down into the far corner. Out in front to Lee, who quick sticked that, and that was turned away by Carpenter. And now here come the Rebels. It's Lewis. Lewis all the way to the cage. And he scores. I kept thinking he was going to pull it out because he never really picked up speed. He just kind of kept jogging towards the net. And he just eventually said, "You're not going to take this space away from me. I'll take it, and I'll go to the net, and I'll score." It's 8-1 Rebels with 8:35 to go here in the second period. Now off the draw, the ball's going to be picked up by the Outlaws as they're in desperate need of a 3 or 4 goal run here to get back into this. Here's Tompkins. Swings that over to the left side. Maloney, he surveys. Maloney has a cutter. That was behind Lee. Tough grab for him to make, and the ball goes loose into the near boards. It's going to be picked up here by the Rebels. And Zorniak, who has one in this game. The Rebels have at least 5 goals in straight transition here in this game. Truly has been the difference. Here's Jama off the right side. He'll swing that. Fodchuk. Fodchuk winds and fires. And he goes again to the short side, hip high. It's 9-1. And if you need a textbook written on how to finish from the outside right now, let Josh Fodchuk write it for you. As any coach will tell you, and most goalies will tell you, the toughest spot for a goalie to stop is sort of that hip to knee area where they can't really, if they can't step quick enough, it often gets by them because they can't really reach down far enough with their glove. Now here comes Weatherby. Weatherby gets hit there by a couple of Rebels. And that was a heavy collision. It's going to be Rebel ball. As they say, Weatherby went into the crease. As he went and tried to hit Reynaud, but he bounced off him into the floor. It's going to be Rebel ball. Here's McCallion. McCallion swings it over to Baker. Baker winds and fires into the crest. And they're going to give the Outlaws a bit of a pause here, and they'll have possession. Here comes Hutchings. Hutchings, one of the many Sherwood Park products on this Outlaws team. Tried to get it to another Outlaw or another former Sherwood Park kid, Lee. Ball swung over to another Sherwood Park product, Ben Hobday. He's actually from Beaumont, but he grew up playing in the Titans organization. Now the ball is going to be brought out by Lewis. McCallion goes wide with that pull shot. It's going to be outlaw ball. And Cutler, yet another Sherwood Park product, comes up and gets stripped. Here comes Barrett down the floor. Breakaway! And he scores his second of the game. It's 9-1, and the transition game just continues to hammer away at the Outlaws here tonight. We'll see what kind of response the Outlaws come back with here, as it's actually 10-1. As they were slow to put that goal up. 10-1, the Outlaws lead with 6:14 to go here, second period. Now here's McKenzie, almost sent in on a breakaway. And now Stewart will get that loose ball and come back the other way. Here's Maloney, left side. Maloney. He goes underneath his man. Hobday tried to come out in front, and he stepped in the crease. It'll be Rebel ball. You know that you often talk about the process and results and being completely, two different things. A lot of guys can play great and not show up on the stat sheet, things like that. Well, that's sort of, I think, what the Outlaws are experiencing here tonight. Is the score reads 10-1, but really this game, if you watched any of it, really hasn't looked like a 10-1 game. But unfortunately for the Outlaws, their pre-provincial season looks like it's on life support right now as we enter into the final minutes of the second period. Here come the Outlaws down the far wall. As Rogalski goes low, looked like it might have went 5-hole. It's 10-2. And that has been a bit of a common theme, is that low shot kind of in the middle. Maybe for basically an overhand release, the goalie maybe lifts his stick up a little bit and you find that space between the feet. And it looks like a little bit of a mop up here is coming. And so a little bit of a break in the action. And we'll update you on the current landscape of the Junior B Alberta playoffs right now. So as this series sits 1-0 in favor of the Rebels, and they enjoy a 10-2 lead here in Game 2, and look to finish the North semifinal off to go on to play the Warriors. It was the Okotoks Marauders winning a really tight game this morning. Strange start time in that one too. You wonder how much that plays into things, but it was the Marauders coming away with a 5-4 win against the Mounties, and they sweep that best of 3, 2-0. They go on to meet the Calgary Shamrocks, the perennial favorite in Alberta the last few years. And they'll play a best of 3 probably starting on Thursday, maybe Friday, for the South Division title. That winner of that will go on to the provincials here in Beaumont and represent the South. In the Central, last night it was Red Deer defeating the Chill 10-5. They hold a 1-0 series lead, and they resume that series tomorrow evening in Red Deer at 6 o'clock. And if the Red Deer is victorious, they move on to face the Silver Tips, and if the Chill win, well, they'll go back to Calgary Monday night and decide the series. As that shot gets thrown back out in front, and that's a good quality opportunity, and another strong save by Carpenter. Nice tuck move, Sika inside, that's stopped. As the Rebels will grab this loose ball. Now they throw it all the way down the floor. That's picked off. And here comes Gaudreau. Gaudreau down into the near corner. Sika takes that shot. That's stopped. And one guy I think the Outlaws really miss in terms of finishing and capitalizing on opportunities, Eric Greenwood, the fifth-year veteran. I think they hope to have him back for the provincials, and that would be a big add, obviously. And I think they miss he's sort of a calming presence, too, on that offense. Carries the ball a lot. And I think everybody that follows this league hopes he can be back for the provincials. Here's McCallion out in front. That gets stopped. And he took a heavy check from behind. And it'll be an Outlaw making his way to the box with 3:39 to go second period. The Rebels holding a 10-2 lead. Only question is if it'll be 4 or 2. It'll be, looks like a 4. So the Rebels will go up on the man advantage for the remainder of this period, unless, of course, they score 2 in quick succession. Here's Baker. Fodchuk. Back up top, Baker. McCallion. McCallion back to Baker. He rips that off the bar, back off at Dorland, and stays out. Here are the Outlaws in transition. As they come up floor. And wouldn't be surprised if they try to get some looks here with the margin right now as it sits and only one period to go here. As the ball gets picked back up by Sika. Sika gets dragged down. He's in the crease. Probably, maybe they could have called a hold there of some kind. I don't know what Walsh is doing here, but he's looking for something, but not really the time and place. It'll be Rebel ball. Here's Fodchuk, Baker, McCallion. Fodchuk, that shot gets soaked. Ball's picked up. And then Peterson grabs that off of the cross crease pass from Lowe. It's 11-2. It's 2:38 to go here, second period. The Rebels extend out as they have here. They've now outscored the Outlaws in the second period by a count of 8-1. As it was 3-1 heading into the second period. They'll knock 2 minutes, or they'll knock the first 2 minutes off, and it'll go down to 2-minute power play for the Rebels on the goal. As they announced Lowe scoring the goal, but it was Peterson. I think Reed Lowe will tell you he has enough goals in this series, especially from last night. He's like, give the captain that one. He earned it. That's stopped by Dorland, and it'll be Outlaw ball. Reed Lowe, of course, did assist it, so he was in on the goal, but Peterson buried that. It'll be Outlaw ball here as they look to answer. Here's Sika. Rips that. That was, I would say, easily the shot of the game as he ripped that into the top corner from well out. Looking like he plays for the Calgary Raiders with that kind of shot. And he makes it an 11-3 game. Anybody following the Junior A playoffs know that was not Ben McDonald or Coolest. That was Hunter Sika of the Beaumont Outlaws. Put that on the highlight reel. It's 11-3. Ball gets drawn back into the near boards. Heavy collision there as they pick up a couple sticks. Nothing's going to come of it. And Fodchuk will slow play down here for the Rebels. Out here on the power play right now, it'll be... And Jama right out wide open in front, tried to twist that inside the near post. They got sent wide, and here comes Gaudreau. Gaudreau, breakaway. Gaudreau rips that into the short side. It's 11-4. So the Outlaws getting a look in transition there. And they answer back. It's a 7-goal Rebel lead with a 1:17 to go here in the second period. Really strong tie up there off the draw. They're going to say it's Rebel ball. Peterson up top, Baker. Baker wound and fired that 5-hole, and it's trapped by Dorland. Cutler. Weatherby. Into the far corner. It's on the wrong side of the floor, though, so he's going to have to either make his way off the floor, which he does, or go to the opposite side. Here's Hobday. Stewart winds and fires. Outlaw was thrown down. Again, I don't... Walsh is totally focused on the wrong things here, as this is not what the Rebels need. They have this game in hand, and they don't need to give the Outlaws any sort of extra focus, motivation, power play opportunity. Time here, and you know what? It's lacrosse, and one team can score 3 or 4 goals in a matter of minutes. You never know. So the Outlaws power play will go to work here. Lee. Hobday. As the Outlaws can't hold for final possession, there'll be a few extra ticks, but in effect they could. But they'll shoot, and Lee rips that far side, and it's 11-5. I'm telling you, these are the things that make differences in games. They can flip really quickly. Well, the Rebels are going to want to get a hold of this before the Outlaws, who are already starting to feel some life right now, really get a hold of something. It's 11-5 with 18 seconds to go here, second period. So that's a 3-goal run by the Outlaws after they went down 11-2. Now off the draw, a couple of guys get pushed down, and it's a 2-on-1. Rogalski keeps. Rogalski! And that's stopped by Carpenter. As Rogalski was on the wrong side of the floor, and it looked like he couldn't really decide if he was going to try to jam a tight pass over, shoot from a tough angle, and he kept it, and good job by Carpenter showing composure there to not leave that near post, and that would have been a real bad one to give up by the Rebels right off the draw. They maintain the 6-goal lead, and after the second period, the score will be the Fort Saskatchewan Rebels 11 and the Beaumont Outlaws 5. We thank you for joining us here on CROW LAX TV. Hit that subscribe button, and we'll be right back here for third period action. Will the Rebels close out, or will the Outlaws make what would be a phenomenal comeback? Come back and tune in and find out here in just under 10 minutes' time. Welcome back into the Ken Nickel Recreation Center for third period action. It's the Fort Saskatchewan Rebels leading the Beaumont Outlaws 11-5. Shots after 2 periods of play. The Outlaws with 39 and the Rebels with 37. It's been a game of transition looks as both teams capitalizing on odd man breaks. The Rebels for the most part, but late in that period, the Outlaws answered back with a couple of transition looks themselves. And they've narrowed this from an 11-2 Rebel lead to 11-5. As the referees make their way back out onto the floor. Rebels leading the best of 3 North Division semifinal 1-0. And they can close it out here in the third frame. The Outlaws looking to make what would be quite the comeback to survive and play into a third game, what would be tomorrow evening in Josephsburg. Now that ball off of the face-off gets sent wide by Cook. It'll go out of play and it'll be Rebel ball. Here's Reynaud. Reynaud comes out over center. He wiggles around Sika. Now Sika goes and traps him against the boards. And he gets held up there. Reynaud down low to McKenzie, who hit Baker out front. Good cut there by Baker, but he was stopped by Dorland, and then he walked into the crease after. They blow it dead. They give the Outlaws the ball. Here's Stewart. Stewart, half wall. Lee works his way, tried to work his way through 2 defenders. That loose ball gets picked up by Walsh, and he's going to be hit there by Lee. And Walsh is going to run up the floor. A couple Outlaws trap him, Lee and Maloney. And now Walsh gets away from that for a second, but then it comes loose. And Murray will grab it. Here's Stewart. Stewart to Lee. Lee shoots that. I don't think it got a piece. Now they say it did. It'll be outlaw ball. That was a really late signal. The outlaw ball. Cutler. Over to Stewart. Good swing pass. Crisp pass right across the top of the 24. Good shot. Stopped by Carpenter. Telling you, if he plays like this, he's going to give the Rebels a real good chance if they are fortunate enough to move on. Here's Scrimshaw. Scrimshaw finally gets somebody to pass the ball to. Here's Jama in behind the net. Fodchuk. Swings that. Back to Jama. Jama's met there by a hard check. And blocked out here by some railing and some board or some glass, but there's a whistle. And I was looking at the ball. It looked like a Rebel was taken out. I think it's Fodchuk. Yeah, it's Fodchuk. As just taking a second look at this right now. As, well away from the play. He was taken into the far boards. I don't know if the ref saw it. I don't know if the refs saw it themselves. We'll wait and see what they say here. So with 17:46 to go in the third period, the shots sit at Outlaws 41, Rebels 38. Rebels lead 11-5, and the refs. And as Fodchuk gets up here, it looks like he's going to be okay. The referees continue to talk. Now they're talking to players as I think that's Cole Smith talking to the timekeepers about what they're assessing here. Well, we saw Fodchuk go awkwardly into the boards last night in Josephsburg in the third period, but that was more of an innocent. This looked like I mean, looking at it again, it looked like a really late hit, and now Cook will be sent off. If I read the ref's lips correctly, yeah, there's 5 up on the board. I was going to say it looked like he said 5 in a game, which is what it's going to be. So Baker will take the ball up top here. And like the Outlaws, nobody's saying a word off their bench because I think they all know that was the right call. So it'll be Baker up top with McCallion and Lowe on the right side and Kohut and Peterson on the left. Here's Baker. He winds, fires, and that goes in. That's a big one for Jackson, as I think that's his first of the playoffs, and it's 12-5. And as you move into the next round, what likely is going to be the next round, still lots of time to go here, but to make this point, you got to assume they're moving on. You're going to need your top guys to be producing, and Jackson does that there. And usually when that happens, when you get on the board, things start to fall for you. And happy for Jackson. He's a good kid, and he gets on the board. It's 12-5. Here are the Outlaws off of the face-off. Here's Long. Long into the left side here. He swings it over to Tompkins. Tompkins swings it back over to Long. As the Outlaws hold a bit here, now they're going to push as they trail 12-5 with 17 minutes to go. Even though they're shorthanded, they're going to want to get a shot here. Now Maloney throws that into the body of a Rebel. It'll be Rebel ball. As they sit here with 4:12 to go on their power play, they can score one more on the major, and then the Outlaws can substitute a 5th guy, and because it's not being served by the guy who got thrown out, the player in the box will be able to leave once the second goal is scored. Here's Lewis. He shoots that well wide. Here's Kohut. He's going to grab the loose ball. He gets that up. Here's Jama was wide open on the crease, but that ball was airmailed behind the net and over top of it, and it'll be Outlaw possession. Here come the Outlaws. Lee. Hobday. As the ball goes loose, and it's going to be picked up by the Rebels. Simonson will just sort of play it and wait for everybody to come back onto the floor here. Kohut. Simonson. Kohut. Low. That gets knocked down by an Outlaw stick. As they battle for it in the corner. Loose ball. Now the ball goes loose to the far side, and it'll be Outlaw ball on the shot clock expiration. Here come the Outlaws down the floor. Cutler bounces that up high to Sika. He picks that up. Yeah. Sika into the middle of the floor. That's stopped by Carpenter. Ball goes loose. That's going to be back in on the Rebels, and it'll be Outlaw ball. Hobday swings that over. Far side. Maloney. And that's well wide. And the Rebels will come back up floor. And no rush here, as they got some time left on this power play. If you're the Rebels, you probably want to see a little bit better ball movement on these power play sets right now. A little bit deliberate and a little bit sloppy. Here's Baker. That gets blocked, and the ball will be picked up by the Outlaws. Hutchings. Tompkins. Pick set there by Lee. That ball gets blocked. Ball picked up by Tompkins. He winds and fires. That makes its way to Carpenter, and it'll be a Rebel ball here. Still with a little bit of time left on this power play. A little bit of a hidden ball. Low. McCallion. Kohut. Inside. Simonson with the behind the back. There's a good stop by Dorland. As McKenzie's going to take on a pair of Outlaws here for this loose ball. And one encouraging sign for the Rebels, I will say, is some of their transition players and guys like McKenzie who do play a little bit of O have really stepped up their game, I've found, in these pair of games on this weekend, and they're going to need that as they move on here. Reynaud, McKenzie, Zorniak, guys like that. And if they can get strong play from those guys, they're going to be a tough team to handle because they already produce at a very high rate. As I mentioned in Game 1, they led the RMLL Junior B division in scoring with 248 goals. That's, if you're got a calculator at home, just over 12.4 goals per game. Next closest was Regina, who scored just 1 goal less. Now the ball gets thrown in past the net of the Rebels, and it's going to be Rebel ball. As the Rebels have about 10 seconds remaining on this power play. McCallion and Lowe. As Lowe is going to wait for the Outlaw to come out of the box. You don't want to turn over and go the other way, have a breakaway or a potential breakaway. That's smart lacrosse as the ball gets sent in. Stopped again on the rebound. It's Kohut is right on top of the net. Here's Gaudreau, who's had a strong game. Gaudreau goes up the far wall. Gaudreau rolls into the middle. And if there ever was a battering a ram or just a, like, he's a player with such a strong center of gravity as Gaudreau. And he's a lot stronger than you might think. He's been impressive this season in his rookie year for the Outlaws. Ball sent in. Baker. That gets knocked down by an Outlaw stick. Peterson will go collect. That's going to be battled for. Murray. As Peterson ran in, and they're going to push. That doesn't last very long. And it'll be Outlaw ball. As Long gets knocked down, that's going to be a call. It'll be the Outlaws coming down 6-on-5 with Dorland out of the net. Lee. Maloney. Maloney shoots. And that's stopped, and Scrimshaw is going to make his way to the bench, or to the box. I don't know if they're going to call a charge here. They're going to call a cross-check. Cross-check. Or maybe check from behind? Yeah, it looks like a check from behind will be handed out to Scrimshaw. Thought it might be a charge, but instead it'll be a check from behind, and it'll be an Outlaw power play with the Rebels leading 12-5, 11:16 to go here. Shots almost dead even. The Outlaws with 43 and the Rebels with 42. Here's Maloney. Ball up top. Gets knocked away from Lee. Shot comes in from Lee. That goes wide. And here is Hobday out in front. Hobday gets his own rebound off of the sprawling save from Carpenter. Wasn't able to tuck it home, and the Outlaws do get a reset, though. Another great save there by Carpenter. Hobday tried to swing that over to the far side. Miss Tompkins, and now here's Barrett, another one of those transition players that have really stepped up here for the Rebels. He's going to wait and circle back. Barrett content to waste time here, and he throws that down to McKenzie. McCallion will run across the top. He'll shoot. That's stopped by Dorland. Rogalski will grab that. And with 10 minutes to go, it'll be outlaw ball. Rebels 12, Outlaws 5. Rebels lead the series 1-0. And with a win here tonight, they can move on to face the Warriors in about 5 days' time. Here's Maloney. Ball over with Stewart. Maloney. Ball back up top. Sika. That goes wide. Might have hit something. And it's going to be Rebels ball. As Simonson's going to jog it up the floor. This third period has had a totally different feel to it than the first two periods. Almost like the air has been sucked out of the game. As Kohat's going to take on 2 checks here. He swims out of it. Moving pick, though. And it's going to be outlaw ball. Here's Lee. Update. Back up top to Lee. That was a tough pass. He gets hit. Stewart. Hobday's going to pick that up. He's going to wind, fire, goes wide, and here comes Reynaud. Reynaud is going to come out over center and peel back. And that was a bit of a tough decision there by Reynaud. He put it at the feet of Lewis, but he goes and picks it up, makes up for the mistake, and then gets it to McCallion, and McCallion picks up the loose ball on the broken play. It's 13-5. And you do got to appreciate that. A guy makes a mistake, and then he runs his ass off to go get the ball and pick it up and get transition back going. And McCallion picks the ball up off of the broken play, capitalizes. It's 13-5 with 8:20 to go, third period. So unless there's some changes to the schedule that I'm unaware of or that happen in the future, game 1 would be Bill Hunter at 8 o'clock next Friday night. And the winner of this series will be there to take on the Warriors. They'll play Friday night, game 1, Saturday, game 2 in Josephsburg, and then game 3 will, if necessary, will be back in Bill Hunter on Sunday. And of course, that'll all be on CROW LAX TV. Hit the subscribe button, and you'll get notified every time a game goes live. Here's Walsh out in front of the net as he hops up. And he was well all over the plane of the crease, but that was some good effort. The big man trying to get his there. As here comes McKenzie up into the offensive zone. He's going to be chased there by Hobday. McKenzie takes his man one-on-one, tried a little bit of around the world. That hit an outlaw. Didn't get to the net. And then he stepped in the crease, and they'll say outlaw ball. Shots dead even. 44-44. 7 minutes to go. Rebels leading 13-5. Here comes Stewart. Stewart to Maloney. Maloney underneath. Maloney tried to go far side. His stick might have hit a Rebel as he was trying to shoot that. The ball kind of went wayward as Dorland picks that up, throws it into the roof, and it'll be Rebel ball. Here come the Rebels. Here comes Peterson. Baker. Kohat. Swings it to McCallion. And he tried to get it back over to Baker and tried to quick stick it. Fell out of his stick, and now the ball's going to go loose, and they're going to battle for it at center. As Baker pushed an outlaw down. It'll be outlaw ball. Picked back up by the Outlaws. Here comes Sika. Sika, right side. Sika shoots that. There's a delayed penalty coming up here. I don't know what that was, but a couple of guys just fell. They look like they were playing. There was some mud wrestling going on out there. Then away from the play, Simonson and Tompkins had tied up. Looks like they're only taking Simonson. Those two have a history, and coaching CROW LAX last year, him and Tompkins, they would dust up a little bit in front of the benches from time to time. Have a few words for each other. Pretty much, they've known each other since they're about 5 years old, so you can understand. There's been a little bit of a history, and Simonson goes to the box, so the Outlaws will go to the power play here with 2 minutes, or for 2 minutes, with 6 minutes to go here in the third period. As Carpenter just went and got some water. The Rebels chirp Simonson for the penalty. Here's Lee. Maloney up top. And that's going to be picked up by Zorniak, and he's going to come out over center. As Kohut sort of just backed into Lee, they call interference, so it'll be outlaw ball. Stewart. Stewart off the left, or Maloney off the left side. Lee shoots that. Here comes McKenzie, breakaway potential. McKenzie all the way in as he goes short side wide. And here comes Stewart off the right side. Tompkins, as he winds, gets it over to Hobday. Maloney. That shot goes in on off of Carpenter down the floor, and it'll be a outlaw reset with 4:55 to go here, third period. Rebels leading 13-5. Maloney, Cutler, and he tried to go low. Now there's a bit of a tie-up. They kind of face-washed each other. It'll be a Rebel ball. Here's Walsh. He's gone up these boards a few times in this third period. It's taking a beating right now from Sika and Tompkins. And there's a slash to the back of Walsh's leg. Pretty easy call for the ref. And so with 4:11 to go, the Rebels will go back to the power play. Shot sit 47-44 Outlaws, score 13-5 for the Rebels. So once again, it looks like the Rebels will be advancing, so you can catch the Fort Saskatchewan Rebels making their way into Bill Hunter Arena next Friday night for Game 1 of the best of 3. And the winner advancing right here, back here to Beaumont for the provincials hosted by these very Outlaws, who I'm sure will work on plenty as they approach the big tournament, with the winner of it getting to go to the Founders Cup in Poco, BC in mid-August. As the ball goes loose, Kohut is going to go pick it up. Or he will, or he was, or now he gets hit into the boards by Cutler. Nothing much happens. And with 3.5 to go, it'll be outlaw ball. Here comes Sika. Into the middle of the floor once again, Sika. And once again, Carpenter turns him away. Here's Hobday. He tried to go, or that was Maloney that tried to go cross crease to Lee. Shot, wide. Hobday back with it. Swing pass. Lee tried to go far side, that misses. And with 2:55 to go, the shot clock was actually back over because they're shorthanded. So with 2:55 to go, it'll be Rebel ball. And you can hear a pin drop inside the Ken Nickel right now. Here's Lewis. Up top, Kohut. Tried to flip that inside to McKenzie. He was getting beaten with a frickin' pole. And here's Kohut. Over to Jama. He shot that. It was trapped in between the leg and stick by Dorland. And now the ball comes up. Bit of a grab there by the Rebel player. Goes uncalled. It'll be Outlaw ball off of the right side. Sika. It's joined there by Lee. Pick set. As he waits for something to develop. Sika winds and fires, and he gets another one from well out. It's 13-6. So with 2:09 to go, the Rebels lead goes down one. They're up 7. Now off the draw. Ball goes back, and it's picked up by McCallion. He hits McKenzie down in the far corner. McKenzie gets out of there. Gets it up to Peterson. And the Rebels will play out the string here. As Peterson backpedals into his own zone. Peterson's just going to toss this down. Beauty behind the back, right into the stick of Murray. That had a great arc on it. Even though maybe that wasn't exactly where he wanted to put it. Looked nice. Here's Lee. Hobday. Hobday up top. He fires it. And the rebound was there from Maloney. He missed it. And now Lewis will pick up the loose change. And Zorniak will walk the ball in beside Carpenter. As he showcases his cradling skills. Lewis. Lewis is going to get pushed into the boards. As Jama and Hutchings basically get turned around on each other in front of the Rebels bench. As the Outlaws come down on offense. Here's Sika. Lee. That was sent out in front to Cutler. That missed the net. Hobday. Lee. Cutler out in front. As Cutler is sent into the net. That'll be an easy call against the Rebels. And with 17 seconds to go, it's academic at this point. But if you're the refs, you don't want this to get out of hand still. So they'll send Walsh to the box. And they'll give him 4 minutes. The Outlaws want to know what's going on. At this point, this is a formality. There's the refs say, yeah, run the clock. And they're going to say more than that. They're going to say game over. So with that, the final score here from Ken Nickel, Rec Center. It's going to be the Fort Saskatchewan Rebels 13 and the Beaumont Outlaws 6. The Rebels take the best of 3 North semifinal, 2-0, and they move on to take on the Edmonton Warriors in the North final, the best of 3 starting next Friday night from Bill Hunter Arena. And if you're in the area, get out to the arena. And if you can't get to the arena, you can definitely check us out on CROW LAX TV, as we'll have full coverage of the series taking place over next weekend. The winner, of course, moving on to the provincials that will take place in Beaumont, August 4th through 7th, over the long weekend. Once again, the final score, the Fort Saskatchewan Rebels 13 and the Beaumont Outlaws 6. I want to thank you for joining us here on CROW LAX TV, and have a good night, everyone.